So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another YouTube video. Now this is a question that I get a lot. How do you manage entrepreneurship as well as social life? And look, I know that it can be tough to juggle. I definitely empathize, and I think I've learned a lot over the past 3-4 years of having a business. And to be honest, even prior to that, although I wasn't really an entrepreneur prior to starting my agency back in 2016, I still made my reading, my self-development, all of that, even at the age of 14, 15, 16, was my #1 priority. And like, that was where all my time and attention went to rather than schoolwork, for example. But definitely over the past 3 years, as I guess my businesses have, really headed in a fast-paced trajectory. It's something that I've had to manage. So yeah, I'm excited to relay what I've learned to you guys here today. First things first is, to be honest, I don't like the idea of a work-life balance, or I don't like the idea of like a social life work balance. To me, I think you need to go through periods in your life. To give you a perfect example, mid 2017, probably around like end of August 2017 until July of 2018, I barely ever saw my friends. Like, they were literally close friends of mine that I hadn't seen for 9 months. My friends have always been very understanding and know that like I have such a clear vision. I know exactly what I want from life, and that's the thing that gives me my greatest joy, is the process of self-actualization, the process of having this vision for what I want from myself as a person, for my business, for my life, this, that, and going forward. So my friends have always been super understanding, but I think that mid 2017 to mid 2018 period was the first time where even my friends were like, yo, this is kind of nuts. Like, you haven't, my best friend was like, dude, you haven't seen me in like 4 or 5 months. We live 5 minutes away from each other. And it was tough. It was hard. But I think if anyone watching this, and I know there are a lot of people watching this where you're like, now is the time to keep my foot on the gas. Like, now, like, I got some momentum going, or I'm either just starting, and like, if I can just put my head down for the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, build up a lot of momentum, get to a really good place with my business, then I know that with that knowledge and with that momentum, I would have set myself up for the rest of my life, basically. Because you kind of get to a point with your businesses and with your confidence as an entrepreneur where I guess you kind of reach like a minimum threshold where you're never going to dip below that again. So I clearly identified that period as like, let me put my foot on the gas, because this year could be the year that changes everything and changes the rest of my life, to be honest. And in all fairness, it did. So kind of from mid 2018 until mid 2019, I went from 2017 to 2018 being stringent. I basically never saw my friends. It was all work, all focus. Then mid 2018 to mid 2019, I kind of eased up a little. I got a little better at kind of managing it, as most people say, managing your social life, work balance, all the way to the point of 2019, where pretty much Q3 and Q4 of 2019, I did a lot of stuff socially. Once again, Q1 and Q2 of 2019, that first half of the year, I was locked in. I was focused. There really wasn't much social stuff going on, and I kind of went back into really hardcore focus mode. Then Q3 and Q4, I made it a priority to see my friends. I made it a priority to socialize. I expanded my social circle a lot in the second half of 2019, because anyone who knows me knows I'm not the biggest fan of like networking just for networking's sake. But I met some ridiculously high-level dudes. Second half of 2019, I finally came out from my cave and was like, yo, let me meet other entrepreneurs. And I didn't really care to meet like other online entrepreneurs or digital market. Like, no, I wanted to meet like heavy hitters. So yeah, I expanded my network a ton, from businessmen in the hundreds of millions with no social media to owners of clubs, owners of restaurants, owners of hotels, owners of modeling agencies. It was definitely a crazy time.
Wow.
So that happened in 2019, and then beginning half of 2020. And this is, obviously everything that's gone on in the world in 2020 has kind of made socializing not possible. But even going into 2020, I'm like, all right, cool. The next 6 months, I'm hunkering down. And as I said, even prior to all this stuff, January, February, and even the beginning half of March, like, I had options to socialize, but like, I even came out to Cape Town in South Africa so I could go all in on focus work mode. So that way I could even get away from the hustle and bustle back in London. And my plan for 2020, once again, obviously it's been thrown off a little with everything that's gone on, but my plan for 2020 was hunker down for the first 6 months and, work, life-wise, give a 98%, 2% split to my work and social life. And then the second half of the year, give a 80-20 split between work and social life. So I guess that's my first piece of advice to you, is realize what season you are in your life. And I think everything from how much time you allocate to work, to how much time you allocate to your spiritual practices, to how much time you allocate to your relationships, to how much time you you dedicate to friendships and social circle. Like, you need to understand what season you are in your life, what part of life you are. And in my opinion, rather than try to constantly balance all these things, that's just not my style. I like to put all my attention on something and kind of neglect some of the other stuff until I'm in a different period of my life. My next piece of advice on how to manage your social life and entrepreneurship is don't be a big texter. Like, everyone knows, even my close friends, that if you get a response from me within 72 hours, like, you've done something right. It's very hard to get a response from me unless it's on Slack and it's my clients for the agency or my team. You're just, no matter where you message me, you're not gonna get a response before 72 hours. And that's for my close friends. Realistically, for anyone else, it might be a week. And that's because I'm not a big texter. I don't send memes. My friends don't send me really memes because they know that, like, I'm gonna respond 5 days later and be like, it'd be like, this is genuinely hilarious, but like, I guess they kind of get the sense that, like, you know, people don't really casually text me too much, just like hey, how was your day? Because it's like, I guess they just kind of know my character, and people treat you a certain way if they know that you have a strong sense of purpose. So yeah, I don't really text. I'm not a big texter. I don't, as I said, I don't ever send the like, hey, how was your day text, and people don't really send me a hey, how was your day text. I'm big on voice notes, so if I do respond to someone, it's going to be in voice note format. It's just, you know, the minute I could have spent typing it out, or the 45 seconds, I can just send a voice note so much quicker, and it's more personable. You know, it doesn't look like you're as much of a cold-hearted asshole. It's just like, okay, no, he's busy, and then when he does reply, once again, you can get that emotion across in a voice note. The other thing is I call. Call me old school, but you know, if I haven't talked to someone in a while, I will call them, and I will carve out some time to call them. And you know, I strongly recommend you do this. For example, if you're ever just walking from one place to the other rather than listening to music. And you know, even though everyone wants to be a self-help junkie, you know, rather than listening to podcasts, probably may have given you more value that day, or uplifted your mood in such an incredible way that, like, yeah, okay, maybe you learned one small little new thing from the podcast, but like, that doesn't compare to the quantum shift in your emotion and how fulfilled you feel that week or that day. Call someone, like, call one of your old friends, call one of your existing friends, you know, catch up properly that way. You know, as I said, I'm just not a big on the world we live in where it's like people mainly communicate through like replying to each other's stories, or like the, hey, how was your day text, or just like a very just generic, bland conversations. For me, it's like, I don't spend a lot of time communicating with people, but when I do, it's going to be of a high quality. And this leeways into the next thing, which is just like, stop wasting like time with your, like, I guess I kind of get the appeal of, like, you know, and I still go to movies with friends, but I don't consider that quality time. So like, I don't do many movies with friends. I don't really do like a coffee catch up. Like, you know, I don't really just meet up with my friend just for this. Like I feel as though some people just get to a point where they're like, oh, it's Friday or it's Saturday, like I should just meet with my friend just because. When maybe they met with that person on like last Saturday, and it's like, I don't know what really could have happened in a week. So what I like to do is I just like to set proper time, and you know, I want to give someone my undivided attention. I don't want to be, if I'm seeing someone, I don't want to half-ass it. So for me, every Sunday, kind of when I'm, you know, I don't like to plan the week ahead. I like to plan the night before, because even in a 7-day time frame, so many things change that I just think it's a bit futile to plan an entire week ahead. But on Sundays, I will look at the week ahead, and I'll be like, okay, what pockets of time do I have? And I don't overstretch myself by trying to fill every single pocket, but I will look at sort of what pockets of time I have. And yeah, I'll hit up friends and try to set stuff with friends to meet up and hang out and chill and make it quality time. Now, my next piece of advice for all you entrepreneurs out there is, rather than doing a lot of one-on-ones, make it a social gathering. Like, I am known for introducing people, which is funny because I hate networking, but like, it happens very organically. It's actually a little shocking how many different groups of people, single individuals and groups of people know me. Like, I'm thinking about my social circle, and every single person knows each other through me, and it's this ridiculous like web, and the web keeps, and sometimes people that have been to an event that I put on or a party that I put on, they'll then send me a WhatsApp photo of all of them two hanging out like separately, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've had, like, there are so many friends and best friends, only friend situations that like have come from introduction. It's super cool. Like even yesterday, my best friend sent me a photo of him with 4 other people that all of them know each other specifically through me, all 5 individuals. And yeah, he sent me a photo back in London. They're all hanging out and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, I think that's super cool when you can introduce a bunch of people to each other and just make a lot of meaningful connections. A lot of the people that I introduce to each other, it happens at events that I do, like, you know, either parties, events, gatherings, and like, it doesn't need to be this big gregarious thing. And you know what I mean by that is, for example, the GrowYourAgency party, I left 30 spaces for friends of mine. So they came. The Gadzhi clothing line launch in London for the second half of 2019. I used to do an afternoon tea every Friday. and I would invite actual clients of mine that live in London, old clients of mine. I would invite business acquaintances that I was networking with, potential new clients, as well as some of my girlfriends, some of my homies, as I said, friends of mine in different industries, some of my friends who are like artists, some of my friends in the hospitality industry, some of my like old friends that I went to school with. You know, with my afternoon teas, it would always just be like a whole, just throwing a bunch of people into the same room. You know, every Friday would be 12, 15 people. Usually every week would be like a different group. And once again, as I said, it's super awesome because you end up introducing so many people to each other. And how do I say this without sounding like you kind of get to hang out with all of them without having that individual one-on-one time. Like, because for me to spend 12 or 15 hours hanging out with every single one individually is a lot. Whereas if you can just hang out with them collectively, I think first of all, it's a hell of a lot more fun. Yes, I will say you don't get to have that one-on-one time specifically together or for the same amount of time as you would if you were hanging one-on-one. But yeah, nonetheless, I think it's, you know, if there is someone that I haven't seen for a long time and I just, and you know, I've just really missed spending some one-on-one time with them, then of course I'll set it up. But I just think next time you are going to hang out with someone, just ask yourself like who is one or two other people that I can invite and that I can introduce both of them to, and maybe then they could form a friendship, they could form a business bond, they could become useful to each other in a networking sense, or maybe they just genuinely really vibe. Like that's basically the main thing that always comes from me introducing one of my friends to kind of my circle and my wider network. They're like, why is everyone so cool? Why is everyone so sweet, so like understanding, so polite, just so like upfront? And I think, as I said, that's really cool. If you kind of, you being that type of person and upholding those sort of characteristics and those character traits, usually you will end up attracting those sorts of people. And if you start building a cool little social circle, cool little network of like very driven, very well educated, I don't mean that in the formal sense, I mean as in like they educate themselves on what's going on in the world. Once again, very open-minded, very kind-hearted people, and you can bring more people into that circle. I just think it's super awesome. Plus, as I said, you also get a lot of goodwill being a connector, and I just think it always makes a situation more fun. Like, you know, people say the more the merrier. I always agree with that. Like, I think it's so awesome when you can bring together so many people from, you know, such different backgrounds or whatever it may be. Ladies and gents, I hope you guys have enjoyed those tips. All I would leave you with is be very strategic with your time. Even if you're not at a place in your life where your time is scarce, treat it as such. You know, when I was 14, 15, 16, basically up until even 17, my time wasn't really that scarce. Like, there was no imminent thing that I had to do. It was just like I knew that I had to boss up and that would pay dividends. And I treated that as my holy time, and I didn't sway from that. So whether your time is scarce or it's not, treat it as such. People treat you a certain way when they know you respect your time. And the other thing is, people treat you a certain way when they know that if you're hanging out with them, it's not because you're bored, it's not because you've got like plenty of extra time, it's because you have actually consciously made the decision to carve out time for them because your time is important. And they treat you a certain way because of it. Now, these are just some small tips of a much wider net, a much wider strategy for me when it comes to networking, managing my social circle, which at the end of the day, like, if you're an entrepreneur, yes, you have your business. Like, yes, for most people, that'll be their number one joy and pleasure, and that'll be their baby. But like, you still gotta have a social circle. You know, I've seen so many, dude, I see it all the time. I see so many entrepreneurs and they just have such a crap social circle. And when I say social circle, that doesn't mean that like my best friends are the ones who used to pay for my lunch when I couldn't afford it. Like, my best friends are the ones whose family used to take me away because, like, once again, it was just me and my mom. You know, in 2014, 2015, we were on government benefits. By the time the end of 2015, 2016 rolled around, she was working for the NHS. Those are my like homies. Those are my best friends. So when I say social circle, I don't mean you need to be some like, you know, networking extraordinaire. I mean as in like you have to have a group of friends that when you hang out with them, it recharges you. And like, it's crazy. A lot of entrepreneurs don't have that. And a lot of entrepreneurs feel very lonely because of it. So yeah, I think whether you run a business or not, you got to make it a priority. So I talk a lot more about this in detail in week 2 of Agency Incubator. For any of you guys in there, you know the excruciating detail I go into. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know any other video ideas you want to see down below. See you guys in the next one.